Hello and welcome to a special edition of The Big Fight. This one is coming to you both from Delhi, and in the program I'm going to be showing you part of what we recorded in Bhopal earlier this week. We went to Bhopal, we spoke to some of the victims and some of the people closely associated with that, because the issue that we're really taking a look at is India's industrialization, the possibility of major industrial disasters. Bhopal, and now could there be a nuclear disaster? That's what the nuclear liability debate to some extent was all about. So what has finally happened now that the Nuclear Liability Bill has been passed? Does it go far enough? Does it protect Indians? Does it go so far that it will put off suppliers? Those are some of the issues that we're going to be debating out here. So let me just introduce my Delhi guests for starters. Manish Tiwari, spokesperson of the Congress Party, old friend of ours here on The Big Fight. So great to have you back once again, Manish. Prasenjit of the CPM, wonderful to have you with us as well. Chandran Mitra of the BJP. It's been a period of notable cordiality between you and the Congress Party, so we are going to be asking you how it feels to be actually talking on the same side as Manish instead of shouting at him, or hearing him shouting at you.
They are talking our language, so we are very happy.
Okay, so you're starting to talk to each other. That's fantastic. Ryan Karanjewala, one of the country's top lawyers, will be sitting and giving us some of the legal opinions on all of this. Great to have you with us. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome onto the program Mr. Kotwal, who's the whole-time director of Larsen & Toubro. Larsen & Toubro perhaps is, of course, India's largest engineering company, so one of them has major ambitions in the nuclear field. And Mr. Kotwal, you really drive that entire initiative, so it'll be great to get your views. And a little later in this program, we're also going to be hearing from Ashley Tellis from the United States. He's joining us from Washington, and he has his own take on what this might mean. Mr. Kotwal, actually, why don't I start with you? The Nuclear Liability Bill has now been passed. There were obviously major concerns when this bill was coming out from the point of view of all the politicians. And I think the ghost of Bhopal almost overlay a lot of this. Has that bill now gone so far that you think it's in danger, it's maybe throwing out the baby with the bathwater?
See, this whole thing starts, as you said, from a fear about what happened in Bhopal. I think all of us are very clear that such a thing should never again happen. And the redressal of the compensation itself should be very expeditious. And I think the one good thing about the bill is that that part has been extremely well addressed. It is neatly done. And I think there will be no such fear on the part of anyone that in case of an unlikely event, the compensation and the payment will be done very expeditiously.
Manish, when this Nuclear Liability Bill was being discussed, was really the Bhopal the unseen presence there? After all, no country has gone through a Bhopal the way India has. It's the worst tragedy. Yes, there was Chernobyl, which is another concern. But is that one of the reasons why Parliament was so cautious?
While obviously everybody is unanimous on the fact that an incident like Bhopal should never repeat itself again. But let us look at the track record of the nuclear industry. There are 437 nuclear power plants in the world, out of which 416 are under some kind of liability regime or the other. There are only 19 in India and 2 in Pakistan which are uncovered by a liability regime. And the 2 accidents which took place in the entire history of the nuclear industry, starting from 1957 when the first nuclear reactor was put up in Pittsburgh, was 3 Mile Island, where there were no human fatalities. And there were Chernobyl, where there were 2, followed by 28, and then 2,500 more casualties.
Even more. Chernobyl, hang on. In Chernobyl, there are some estimates that I've got out here. International Agency for Research on Cancer says 140,000 deaths in Belarus and 60,000 in Russia.
Well,
that's what one study says.
Let's not quibble about numbers. Look at it over a span of 43 years, 437 nuclear power plants. You've had one disaster which has resulted in fatalities. So you cannot hold it up as a benchmark and then construct the whole argument around that. So on the whole, the nuclear industry has been safe. We've been operating nuclear reactors in this country since the early 60s. There, God fortunately, has not been a single incident. So let's have.
So let's not get paranoid with what he's saying.